So before I joined the program, so it kind of goes back just a little bit further than that. Essentially, after dating my wife for a couple of years and thinking that I was in the right spot to get married, we got married. But there soon after, she cheated on me the first time, which I found out by confirming this because I ended up getting a sexually transmitted disease in the process. And she would continue to deny that it was her cheating on me, but eventually, it did come out, and I knew the truth anyways. So I waited 2.5 years. So this leads me up to essentially the end of 2019, at which point, at that point, I figured we weren't really working on us and things were quiet. So, I mean, I could kind of believe that I wanted to say she was righting her ways. But instead, it turned out to be a giant lie and smoke in the mirrors. She started seeing another gentleman who she claimed to be a friend, and being as she likes to say to me, the controlling person I was, I let her go out and meet this person under a friend status, which eventually turned into something much more. In April of 2020, thanks to COVID, I got deployed down to New York City, and was part of the military and the militia response teams down there in the city to help the folks there. And while there, I started getting some really interesting vibes. Being away from her, I started being able to see things a little bit more clear. And then I started getting confirmations, which started with my daughter a couple of days before I got home, that there was something very hokey going on. I proceeded to try to call her out on it. And of course, she did the exact beautiful thing that most people like to do. She gaslighted me all day and all the way. And essentially by the end of the conversation, I was the one left sitting there going, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's all bullshit. Maybe she's telling me the truth. Maybe that piece of paper is not white. It's really black, and that's how she kind of got me there. So prior to that, I was gone. And during that 60 days, through some really crazy trackings that I did, she was going out on a regular basis with him and staying over at his place till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then coming home and then trying to, bullshit me that they were just out drinking and partying. So essentially, when I realized everything was going on, I was already under a much clearer mindset than I was when I went down to New York City. And she didn't realize that I kind of let myself off the hook. So I pretended to stay on the hook for a week after I got home. I filed for divorce on a very early Monday morning without her knowledge, and then came home and told her that I had filed for divorce. Essentially, right after that, I started going through my, self-doubt, the hurt, the pain, the pity portion, and I started perusing the internet for help. Prior to that, I had already kind of been looking a little bit at programs such as, Bulletproof Husband, some other boot camp type programs that were out there that may have tried to help me with my marriage and preventing what was going on or stop the divorce. And I just didn't feel like any of those programs were able to help me. I then, as I was going through that, wonderful Facebook, knowing what you're looking at, started popping up various other things to me, which point I stumbled across your program. I read it in depth, and what you had to say really resonated with me. And out of everything that I read or I looked at in all those programs, your program seemed to resonate the most with me. And so I was interested, and I reached out to you. Initially, it was hard. I won't lie. It's like, going back to school and saying, hey, here you go. Here's a bunch of homework you got to do. You really have to do the homework in order to understand what's going on, which means you got to find the time. You got to be dedicated. You got to, not wallow in your shit long enough to crack a book or crack a PowerPoint on a phone and understand what's going on and take notes and try to learn from this. it was hard. It was rough because my mind at that point again had become very clouded, but it was not clouded in regards to what was going on with her and what she was doing. It was clouded because of the pain and the inability to control all the emotions that came flooding in once I opened that door. Once I really started getting moving in the program, started trying to understand myself. So taking that long, hard look in the mirror and going, yeah, okay, am I really this or am I that? Is she really this or that, or what did she do? I mean, it really started to help me kind of get my mindset moving in the right direction, that there is work to be done. There is a lot of rebranding, but in order to do it, you got to start from the ground level up. You don't just go in and put a brand new sign on top of the building and say, I'm rebranded. You got to start from the bottom up and start renovating everything from the ground floor up. It got a little bit easier. It really seemed to get a little bit easier as far as once I understood how to use the rumination, the 3-2-1 stop technique, and then the let it go, and incorporating that into my my qigong meditation, which initially was the standard entry level of let's do 15 minutes and do 10 minutes of this one and 5 minutes of that, and then slowly increasing it over time to the point where now I'm doing a half hour. And through that, really I really incorporated the let it go technique during my meditation. I would take a subject, look at it, drill it over, mill it down, try to get it down to the bare basic level, and then ask myself, can I let it go? Like, is this worth holding on to, or can you let that shit go? And really, the interesting thing is every time I got it down to that ground level and finding that it is, the answer was, yeah, I can let it go. Like, why am I like this? And it really helped me identify some of the root causes that have put me in this position. So I probably started, so I joined the program, I believe I joined the program in July with you. Yes, July. As a matter of fact, I think the date was July the 12th. Yes, because that was the last time I saw her, and I had kicked her out of the house like 15 minutes before I had my first meeting with you. So I joined your program in July. It probably, I started seeing small little tiny movement, but then it was that one step forward, two step back, because I was self-sabotaging a lot for the first couple months. After being dedicated and loyal to it, probably about mid-September, I really kind of started noticing the shift. There was a larger shift in there. So it took me probably a good 60 days of trying to be dedicated, trying to get my mindset in the right place. And then, there was always that take one step forward, and then all of a sudden you do something stupid, because for me, I was tracking her. I had access to all her emails. I had the ability to go in and find out exactly what she would Google at that exact moment. I had set it up, everything so nicely, because I didn't trust her from the first infidelity session. So I had already set up all this stuff, and I would go in and want to see what she was doing. So I was just self-sabotaging myself with that rumination and inability to shut it down. Once I did that in August, I started seeing the movement a little bit better, and it wasn't until September that I really started noticing the gains. It's very refreshing. It's actually very eye-opening and enlightening, because like I had said earlier when we discussed this, the ability to take a long, hard look at myself and accept the truths and the realities of who I am are the biggest key factors into protecting yourself and shoring up your weaknesses, right? So making sure that those don't get exposed openly, or if you can, completely get rid of those chinks in the armor. And it's been amazing. The hindsight, as they always say, is 20/20, and I can look back and see where I was and where I'm at now. A complete total turnaround from being a 100% codependent, woe is me, crying, hurting so bad that I wanted to kill myself, and almost succeeded in doing that in early July before I came to this program. looking at myself now going, yeah, you know what? There's nobody that's worth that amount of pain. And there is nobody better and self-loving than yourself. So take care of you, do your vision, you know, rebrand yourself and get your goals in line, Dave. You have, you know, you are not that person anymore. You are something much bigger, something much larger than what you started as. And you have to refocus and rebrand yourself like we had talked about in the past. And that's what I've done. I've been busy trying to do that. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly do. As a matter of fact, I kind of laughed because I did discuss with you about this gentleman named Jan Kankar, I believe his name is. Had I made some comments on one of his sites after being on your program for a while, and I was definitely entrenched in your program. And he reached out to me and started asking me questions. And first thing I told him was, you need to know I'm not looking to join your program. I'm already in a very good program here, and that belongs to Ed Baxter. At which he goes, "Oh, okay. I talked to him one time, and you know, got some advice or something like that." It didn't really matter. But at that point, yes, out of all the programs that are out there, I would definitely recommend this. I did kind of go snooping and look at his program and kind of said, you know, the best. What did they say? The best form of the best form of a compliment is imitation. And I looked at his thing, and it looks like he's trying to emulate and imitate what you kind of have in what he's saying out there. And I was just like kind of laughing, going, yeah, you know, this has already been kind of cornered, brother. I think there's a better program out there that has got a lot more in-depth research and entailment into it. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly 100% recommend this to any gentleman that is going through shit that is dealing with betrayal, you know, being betrayed, being left for, and being duped. I don't think the investment for what I'm getting out of it did it justice. I'll be honest with you. The investment was very light. It required some, as we discussed, some buy-in, and I was okay with the buy-in. It was good quality price for what I know what I was going to get, but ultimately, what I got just astronomically paid for itself tenfold easily. You know, because at the end of the day, I get to rebrand myself. I get to look at myself for who I really am, and I get to become an unapologetic male, which is the way we should live life, unapologetically. Hey, it's my pleasure to be able to do it. You don't know how much. I mean, like, you know, when you're looking for that one straw, you're digging through the whole hay pile for that one straw that is the best straw to help you get yourself back up. I didn't think I would have stumbled across your program, this caliber of a program that would have helped me. I was willing to invest into other programs and look at them. But like I said, for some reason, when I saw your ad and I looked at your ad, that shit just resonated with me so deeply that I knew I had found it's interesting. I found that diamond. I found that diamond in the rough, surprisingly. And I was happy that I found it that quickly because I didn't hesitate. I jumped on board. The price didn't matter because at the end of the day, I know it's me that matters, and there's no amount of money that I can sink into myself that wouldn't be worth it. It's investment into myself. It's investment into my well-being. It's investment into my knowledge, and it's also an investment into a nice big fat shield on how to protect myself from psychotic women. But I wonder if it gets better if I do more work with it. And that was drive. That in itself was that, you know, that reward, that carrot on the stick. Okay, I got me a carrot on the stick. I'm going to go after it now. I want that carrot, you know, and you keep driving for that. And that's what I did. And eventually when you get that carrot, you go, holy shit. Thank you so very much and I'll put it nicely. Thank you for saving my life.